Different large denominators. For different large denominators, we're going to use prime factorization to find the least common denominator. Any changes to the bottom number, our denominator, we must do to the top, or must be reciprocated to the top number. And then to build up to the least common denominator, we're going to multiply by any missing factors. So example 1, a plate is 16 inches thick with a gusset of 9 of 32 inches thick. What is the total thickness of the two pieces? So we can see we have two very large denominators. We have 16 and 32. So what we're first going to do is just going to figure out each prime factorization. So we have 16, which can be broken down into 2 and 8. 8 can be broken down into 2 and 4, and 4 can go 2 and 2. Now let's do 32. 32 can be broken down into 2, and then 32 divided by 2 is 16, because 15 times 2 is 30, and we just add another 2, so that's 16. 16 can be broken down just like we did here. So 2 and 8, 2 and 4, and then 2 and 2 from there. So we can see we're actually just missing one factor. Each one has 4 2's, and so we're just missing this 1 2. So all we would have to do actually is multiply the first fraction by 2. We do it at the top and the bottom, and then we're going to go plus 9 over 32. So we go ahead and we're going to multiply these numbers together. 5 times 2 is 10, then 16 times 2 is 32, plus 9 over 32, which then becomes 10 plus 9, which is 19 over 32, and this is our solution. Now let's look at another example. Example 2. A gap in two parts are 3 and 32 inches and 1 and 6 inches. What is the total gap? So that means we're going to be adding these two numbers together. So we have 3 and over 32 and 1 6. So when we do that, we have 32. Let's go ahead and just break this down like we did before. 2 and 16, 2 and 8, 2 and 4, and then 4, 2, and 2. 6 can be broken down into 2 and 3. So we can see we each have a common factor of 2, and then we have some different numbers. So this one has a 3, and then these have an additional 4 2's on the 32. So we need to go ahead and just multiply both these numbers by its missing factors. So the 32, we would be multiplied by the 3. So let's go ahead and write this out. So 3 over 32. Well, or we could write it in like this, where we go 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Then we have 3 over 3 plus 1, which is 6, which is 2 times 3. Now, we don't need to multiply by this 2, but we do need to multiply by these 4 2's. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. We do it to the top as well. And then that's it, because we already have a 3, so we don't need to multiply it any further. And so now we can go ahead and multiply everything out. So we multiply what's on the top together, and then we multiply what's on the bottom. So when we go 32, because 32 is 5 2's, we need to multiply it by its 3. So 32 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So we get 96. For the denominator, 3 times 3 is 9. Plus, then we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 16. And we can do that by going 2 times 2 is 4. times that by another 2 is 8, times that by another 2 is 16. So we have 16 over 96. Then we go ahead and add. 9 plus 16 is equal to 25 over 96. And then we can go ahead and circle that because that will be our final solution, as we don't have any factors that are shared between the top and the bottom to divide it out by. So let's look at another example, and this will be our final one. Example 3. The gap is 3 and 28 inches on the left of the assembly, and then 5 over 18 inches on the right of the assembly. What is the difference in gaps between the left and the right assembly? Now, how we're going to do this is we're going to go 5 over 18, because really 5 over 18 is kind of really close to 5 over 15, which is equal to more like 1/3. And then 3 over 28, well, if we were to go 3 over 27, it'd be 1 over 9. So we can see 1/3. See, if you had 1/3 of a pie over 1/9, we would say the 1/3 is much larger. So that's why we're going to go 5 over 18 minus 3 over 28. So these are what we call like kind of just estimating to help us be able to solve. Now, so we have 5 over 18 minus 3 over 28. Now 18, let's go ahead and break that down. 18 can go 2 and 9, and then 9 can go 3 and 3. 28 can be 2 and 14, and 14 can go 2 and 7. So if we look at this, we only have a common factor of this 2. These, we have 2 3s here, but we don't have the 3s over there. And then on the other side, we have another 2 and a 7. So we're going to need to multiply by a lot of other missing factors in this. So 5 over 18, well, we are missing this 2 and this 7. So we can just leave it as 18 and multiply it by 2 and 7 on the top and the bottom, minus 3 over 28. Well, what are we missing from the 28? We're missing these 2 3s. So we're just going to go ahead and go 3 times 3 on the top and the bottom. Now we go ahead and multiply what's on the top together, and then we need to multiply what's on the bottom together. So we get 5 times 2, which is 10, times 7, which is then just 70, minus, but let's do this, 18 times 2 times 7 is 14. So if we were to do that, go 18 times 14 right here, 8 times 4 is 32. Carry the 3, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. 0 as our placeholder. 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 1 is 1. Add them together, 2 plus 0 is 2, 7 plus 8 is 15, carry the 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2. So now we have 252 on the bottom for both of them. Now 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So our final step then will be just to do this subtraction. So we have 70 minus 27. We need to go ahead and borrow. So now we have 10 minus 7, which is 3. 6 minus 2 is 4. So now we have 43 over 252 as our final solution.